The park was nearly empty that Sunday morning. The city hadn't quite woken up yet. Only the sound of sparrows in the trees and the occasional bark of a dog filled the air. The benches were slick with dew, and the scent of freshly cut grass lingered like perfume. On a worn wooden bench beneath a willow tree, Maya sat with her baby daughter tucked in her arms. She looked tired, her clothes simple, her hair loosely tied back. Life hadn't been easy since her husband walked out before the baby was born. But when she looked down at those bright little eyes, the world still had meaning. Maya began to hum, and then words slipped into melody. It was a lullaby her mother had sung to her, a song of hope and comfort. Her voice was soft, not polished like a professional singer's, but it carried the raw warmth of love. Each note seemed to float through the morning air, brushing gently against the silence of the park. Her baby stirred, tiny hands reaching up as though to catch the sound. Maya smiled through the exhaustion etched into her face. "Shish, little star," she whispered between verses. "Mama's here." A few benches away, a man in a tailored gray suit had stopped on his usual morning walk. Adrian Steele, the billionaire whose face often graced business magazines, was known for his brilliance, his iron will, and his cold detachment. He lived in penthouses and private jets, surrounded by people who feared him, not loved him. But today, none of that mattered. He had frozen mid-step, his gaze drawn to the young woman's voice. At first, he tried to shake it off. It was just a lullaby. Just a song. Yet with every note, something inside him unraveled. His throat tightened, his chest ached, and before he realized it, his vision blurred. He sat down heavily on a nearby bench, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the ground as if hiding his face would protect him. But the melody cut too deep. It had been decades since he'd heard a lullaby. His mother used to sing when he was small. Before the car accident, before his father sent him away to boarding schools, before he learned that money was safer than love. He had locked those memories away, convinced himself they no longer mattered. Yet now, here in a public park, surrounded by nothing but trees and strangers, he was crying. Maya's song tapered into silence as she noticed the man a few benches away. His hands covered part of his face, but she could see the faint glimmer of tears. Something about him didn't match the setting. His suit was too sharp, his shoes too polished, his presence too commanding for a quiet Sunday park. She hesitated. Most people would have ignored it, kept walking. But something in her heart wouldn't let her. Carefully rocking her baby, she asked softly, "Are you all right?" The man looked up, startled, as if her voice had pulled him from somewhere far away. His eyes were rimmed with red, but his jaw was tight, trying to mask vulnerability. He paused, searching for words. He wasn't used to explaining himself. Not to anyone. Finally, he said hoarsely, "Your voice, it reminded me of something I thought I'd forgotten. My mother used to sing like that." Maya's expression softened instantly. "I'm sorry," she said, her tone filled with quiet understanding. "Lullabies, they stay with us, even when the people don't." Adrian nodded, his throat thick. For years he had filled his silence with numbers, deals, and headlines, but this stranger's simple words pierced deeper than all of it. The baby made a small sound then, as if sensing the gravity in the air. A tiny hand peeked out from the blanket, waving aimlessly. Without thinking, Adrian leaned forward, almost mesmerized. The baby's hand brushed against his, curling instinctively around his finger. He froze. No boardroom handshake, no gala greeting, no $1 million contract had ever felt like this. So small, so fragile, yet powerful enough to shake something loose inside him. Maya watched the scene unfold, half surprised her daughter reached for a stranger so easily. She usually doesn't do that with people she doesn't know, she admitted. "You must have a gentle spirit." Adrian gave a faint, humorless smile. "Gentle isn't a word people use for me. Maybe they don't see the real you," Maya said simply, adjusting her daughter's blanket. For a moment, neither spoke. The world felt smaller, like the three of them were in their own little circle under the willow tree. Adrian finally asked, almost in a whisper, "Do you always come here?" "Most mornings," Maya said. "It's quiet, and she likes the fresh air. Sometimes, I sing because it keeps me calm too." She looked down at her baby with a tender smile. "Being a single mom can feel like the world's too big, but when I sing, it feels manageable." Her honesty disarmed him. People usually spoke to Adrian with rehearsed politeness, with flattery or fear. No one ever admitted to being overwhelmed. No one ever shared their weakness, at least, not without wanting something in return. He wanted to ask her name, her story, why she seemed so unshakably warm despite the weariness in her eyes. But something stopped him. Maybe it was fear of breaking the fragile peace of the moment, or maybe it was the unfamiliar ache in his chest telling him this woman could unravel everything he had built to protect himself. So instead, he stayed quiet, letting the baby's tiny fingers cling to his. And as the morning sun rose higher, neither of them realized that this simple meeting, a lullaby, a tear, a touch, was the first thread in a story that would soon bind their lives together in ways neither expected. Silent tears slipped down his face as the song continued, wrapping around him like the embrace he hadn't felt in years. The billionaire, the man the world thought unbreakable, bowed his head and wept where no one could see, or so he thought.